Hi, this is Liz, and welcome to my podcast, Spiritually Speaking with Liz. Well, today I've got an extra special guest for you, in my opinion. I have got the Queen of the Crystals herself, Jackie Winters. So I'll just read you a little bit about Jackie first. So Jackie founded the British Academy of Crystal Healing back in 2004 when it was accredited by the British Complementary Medicine Association and later by the Federation of Holistic Therapists. The Academy is now renowned as a leading authority in the world of crystal healing and energy medicine. Jackie is the author of Messages from Mother Earth divination cards and has a successful free podcast that attracts regular listeners from the UK and the US. Students study at the Academy from all over the world via her online tutor-led classes. Jackie is a shaman at heart and offers retreats and guidance on shamanic lifestyle. Her 40 years of knowledge is inexhaustible. She is loved for a sense of humor, light-hearted approach to teaching, and incredible connection with the mineral kingdom and energy beings. Jackie, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure and honor, Liz. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So I thought I like to know people's background. That's my thing. I like to know how people, even from a young age, how people became aware spiritually, and then obviously you diverted off onto crystal. So how did it start? Where was your first inkling of spiritual life, would you say?
Oh, okay. So it depends on how far you want me to go back. But basically, from a very little girl, I always knew things and had knowings, and I knew I could make things happen, which sounds really bizarre, but I did. And growing up, I just assumed everybody knew this. And when I realized they didn't, it made me then feel a bit of an outcast, and I couldn't understand why could I hear the trees and why could I sense what people were feeling and thinking. And yeah, it really made me feel a little bit isolated. And then when I got to, I suppose my journey with crystals began when I was about 20. So that's like 42 years ago now, my goodness. And I was diagnosed with asthma and a really bad asthma. I was having steroids, and yeah, I was in a really bad place. And I met a gypsy who on the street, didn't know her at all, and she just said to me, "Can I give you this?" And it was a piece of blue lace agate, and she said, "This crystal will help make you better." I remember thinking to myself, listen, if you told me to go and stand in the sea and stand on one leg and sing Rule Britannia, I'd do that because I was really in a mess. So I took this crystal, had no hopes for it at all, but I did carry it with me. And sure enough, I started to get better, and not just a little bit better, but I came off steroids within weeks. I didn't need them anymore. And it was really a big turnaround. And then after that, my journey continued. I was involved in a lot of things. My life then got back to the normal chaos that we all find ourselves in. And I developed a very large fibroid in my abdomen, the size of a melon. So the doctors wanted me to have all this surgery and everything removed. And I decided to walk the holistic path. And it was almost like Spirit said, right now, you really need to listen. So I really then started investigating more with the crystals. I started meditating regularly. And it's quite funny, actually, Liz, because my introduction to the light beings, the beings that live within the light frequencies that the crystals emit, came and I was told it the internal voice, I think that the best way to explain it is my internal voice started to become very wise, and I started to really listen to what my internal voice was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to recognize that the crystals would change these internal voices. So there was the regular me, and each time I connected to a crystal, the voice of the crystal, the internal knowings, started to adjust according to what crystal I was using.
Wow.
And then I started to find that when I followed these internal intuitive feelings and thoughts, it started to take me down a completely different path. And then it was like the crystals took over. I learned so much about light consciousness, about energy that is not in human form. I began to understand the light around trees. I began to understand the light in everything. I started to work with physicists over in America. My journey took me over to America, where I went up into the Blue Ridge Mountains, studied there. When I say studied, there was no person I was studying with. I was literally relaxing into the voice of the mountain, which again sounds very incredible, but I've begun to realize I value now the fact that I can do this, and I love educating other people. So the voice of the crystals, I felt I was a channel for that vibrational frequency, and began to realize that yes, people can't hear it. And when I was a little girl, I realized that because I could hear it, the voice of nature, the voice of the consciousness of the earth, if you want to call it, and it really empowered me to trust in what I believe in, because we do all need to make this shift. We all need to make that journey from the head into the heart.
Yeah.
And the shamans are more linked to that kind of philosophy for me. So shamanically, I started to find my own inner shaman.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's been an incredible ride, one that I am honored to be able to help awaken other people with, and explain what crystals do, how they work, how you can ingest the light, how the light impacts on your body. I've learned all about the pathways of energy through the body, which I like to share with people. Each organ in your body has an energetic freeway. And when you understand it, you can find where that freeway locks, use crystals on those locks, and release any internal congestion. The energy starts to flow again, your consciousness starts to flow again, and it's all linked to attitude. I'm blabbering on here, Liz.
No, carry on. I'm I'm
Are you sure
mesmerized. Keep
I'm
going.
okay? Because once I get going and
No, go for it.
feel the joy that it
Mm,
brings me to share this knowledge with people, because it's not a new knowledge. It's really revisiting what the ancients knew. And I
yeah.
think that's the key, is when I was a little girl and I realized that I'd come in a time zone where a lot of people were asleep, it was very disheartening. I would see people doing things and my heart would go, why on earth would you do that to yourself? Or why on earth would you do that to another person? So reconnecting with your heart and being authentic and genuine and relaxing out of that authority of your mind into the heart, we all need a little bit of guidance with. So working with the crystals has really helped me become a voice for the crystals, a channel for the crystals. And the very first radio station that was ever made was called a crystal set. And the reason it
It
was called,
was, yeah.
yes, do you remember
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And
My granddad used to do something with making radios and repairing radios. So yeah, of course it was.
it was. And the reason it was called a crystal set was it had a piece of galena, which is a crystal, in the radio. And the galena was responsible for changing the station. And in my
Mhm.
personal opinion, that's exactly what crystals do with us. It changes our perception, our internal voice, our internal radio, and helps us to be more heart orientated, and helps us to reconnect with that journey back down into the heart, where we're kinder and softer and more loving with ourselves and with other people, and helping ourselves to feel rather than think, because
Yeah.
we all overthink and overanalyze everything.
Yeah, we do.
So yeah, helping to redo that. And crystals really are making their way back into mainstream. And that was my sort of mission, if you will, when I started with crystals. I wanted to bring crystal healing into mainstream, let people know that it's not a mystical woo-woo, and give it
Yeah.
a credence in everyday world. And I mean, I don't know whether you're aware, but your LCD screens on the television, they're liquid crystal display, because the crystals magnify the light that's coming out. You have crystals in your watches, crystals in your computers, crystals emitting the broadband. Crystals are really here and making their presence known, used by scientists, and understanding that, that energy is capable of moving it. I even worked with a scientist in America and this is the truth, they all got together and were given funding to create a city run purely on quartz. And they did.
Wow.
Oh,
They
I
did
know.
it.
They did it. However, I don't know how this is going to be received when I say they went to the government, showed the government that they could do it, and the government said, well, thank you very much.
Ah,
Scientists who I worked with said, well, when are you going to implement it? And they said, oh, no, we just wanted to see if it could be done. And
oh, that's so,
seriously,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, the particular scientist that I'm talking about, Brian, I don't really want to give his full name, but
No, of course not.
he was so disheartened and, explained to me more and more about the science behind the crystals. So marrying and understanding how the vibration of the crystal is emitting pure light, and that light interacts with your neurological system. The neurological system is how your internal world communicates. So when your brain wants to send a message to your big toe, it uses electrical synapses. And the technical terminology for it is photonic energy. That's PHOTON, like photograph,
Mhm.
photonic energy. And that photonic energy mixes with your biological energy and becomes what's known as biophotonic energy. And when that biophotonic energy is activated, then really it takes healing to a new level. I worked many years ago with a lady who'd got Bell's palsy.
Mhm.
And if you don't know what Bell's palsy is, it's paralysis of the face. And this person had got a trapped nerve and was only 19 years of age and
Oh,
went to the hospital, and they were going to drill a hole in the hope that they could release this, and said, there's not a great deal that surgeons are managing to do with nerves. Once a nerve is damaged, that's it. So this person came to me and said, I really don't want to have to go through this operation. Is there anything you can do with crystals? And I used a crystal called iolite, which is amazing for nervous conditions. And I massaged the face with the iolite. I called on the spirit of the stone, because you can connect from your heart. If you can feel and connect to the vibration that's being emitted, then it enhances the work you're doing. So we use this iolite on the Bell's palsy, and sure enough, the next day her face is back to normal. She doesn't need the operation,
wow.
goes to the doctor turns around and says, well, yes, sometimes this happens, doesn't
Mm.
matter. I don't care what the doctor thinks. We got the
No.
result that was we were looking for. And iolite has the ability to be able to affect the nervous system and calm everything down, as do many, many crystals. But it just shows you that we're scratching the surface of energy medicine.
Mm.
If energy medicine is going directly to the nervous system, it actually is surpassing a lot of where conventional medicine can go to. We are
Yeah.
now making that leap into the area where maybe the conventional medicine can't get to, and understanding that energy and the pathways through the body, where the impact, what attitude is associated to them, why it locks, and what crystals can do to unlock it, has been my lifetime studying crystals and my ability to now pass this information on to students.
It's wonderful, and that's one of the things I love about you is that you're not, there's nothing wrong with being woo-woo if that's your thing, but you're not woo-woo. You've stayed sort of in the middle, so to speak, where you'll can go over to that side, but also you've brought a lot of the science in. You've brought people, we don't, but unfortunately, a lot of people want proof. They want
Yes.
to know, they want to know with anything, they want to know if you say it's been scientifically studied and proven, then people listen.
The thing was, Liz, for me, I was being offered amazing opportunities early in my career where I was invited by the NHS to go in and do some work on terminally ill. It was AIDS patients at the time, so you can tell how long ago when AIDS was really
Mhm.
a big thing. And when I got invited in, there was quite a few holistic people that had been invited in. There was people doing Reiki, people doing aromatherapy, etc., and they were monitoring the results on how the patients were responding to the therapy they were being given and how it was interacting with them. And they had some big consultants come down from London and wanting to do some work. But they wanted to meet each of us individually and find out what it was that we were doing and try to understand. And the gentleman that went in before me was doing Reiki. And his discussion to the consultants was, I do Reiki, and what it is, it's a natural energy that comes through and it gets the demons out of the body.
Mm.
And the consultants are sitting there, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go in next. And they were sort of tapping a pencil on the ground, rolling their eyes, like, what on earth's going on? And I remember thinking and asking my internal voice and the crystal to help me be able to get it across to them in a manner that they can understand. So it's really about learning to speak a foreign language.
Yeah.
Science as a foreign language,
Yeah.
which is interpreting exactly what Melvin was saying, because what he's saying is correct.
Hmm.
They're low vibration. Demons is perhaps a very strong word, but it's their inner demons
Mm.
that he's helping them deal with. So what he's saying is correct, but the scientists weren't on our wavelength to be able to understand that. So when I went in and asked them if they'd got a quartz, what have you got a watch on? Because I could see them roll their eyes when I walked through the door, like, oh, here we go, here's another one of those, woo-woo people. And sitting down, I just explained, about everything that I've just explained to you, that, the neurological system works through this photonic energy, this light energy, and so do crystals, and grabbed their attention. And so because you can communicate with them, saying exactly what Melvin was saying when he was doing it, but in a manner that they can understand, then you can get people's attention. And I'm not going to lie, it's mainly gentlemen that want the science side,
Yeah.
although some ladies do too. A lot of ladies are more intuitively intelligent, so they can recognize what you're saying and understand what you're saying without needing the science. But it's nice to be able to marry the science behind it as well.
Yeah, I think it just gives it, not that it needs it, but it gives it that credibility for those people that are very left-brained, that need to have that analysis, that proof,
Yes,
to get
absolutely.
things through. What would you say well, now let's jump back. What have you done therapy-wise then? What qualifications have you done aside with crystals?
Okay, so my journey started with herbalism. So I studied herbalism, and I use herbs and grow herbs and love, knowing that the plant kingdom want to help us as much as the crystal kingdom do, and understanding that nature so quite often grows things in the shape of whatever is needed. So certain plants have got leaves that will look like something, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's good for this, and it even looks like it.
Mhm.
And then I moved into aromatherapy, which of course was using the smells and what have you. Carried on doing massage with it. So these were all what was labeled normal,
Yeah.
normal things to do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I just got hook, line, and sinker. I feel I'm here for energy medicine. And I really, my own personal journey has been enhanced with herbalism and aromatherapy and all the other wonderful treatments that are out there. But my understanding, my knowings are with the energy of the crystals and the land, basically, because now I'm moving into working with ley lines,
Mhm.
understanding the ley lines, helping people put the ley lines in their homes back, because as we have energy lines running through us, the energy lines are running through the earth. And if you look at the nature and how the birds use the ley lines to find direction, and they know where to go, and they use those ley lines, them ley lines are there in the earth. And at the moment I'm working quite a lot with going to places where the ley lines intersect, showing people how to use dowsers. In fact, on the 24th of June, we're doing an amazing well-being festival in a place called Rivington, where I'll be offering advice on how to find your ley lines in your home and how to grid them and get the energy flowing through your home. And it's been proven that unsavory, should we say, neighborhoods, after people have done work on them, have become sought after areas.
Wow.
It really is quite incredible how the energy that's being emitted from the land can have an impact on the people that are living in that area. And once you clear that energy, it's really quite profound that there has been documented evidence, not by myself, but that it can bring a neighborhood back into alignment with, the nicer frequencies.
It makes sense. And going back centuries, they use, places of worship in whatever form were built on where the convergence of ley lines, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And also I was invited up the mountain because I lived up the mountain in Andalusia for 4 years before we came home, and there was a Neolithic rock. Ah, if you're into crystals and you ever get a chance to go into, to talk to these giants that have been on the earth for such a long time, that are vibrating energy to hold space, which again is a conversation on its own. But these energies of the Neolithic rocks are holding space for us humans who have totally lost it.
Yeah.
And really helping to try and keep the vibrations, into the heart vibration, to keep the energies, and maybe that's why we're not as lost and we're starting to come back. But yeah, there's a lot of things that people are asleep to. And some people are now, the chaos that everyone's like, oh, it shouldn't be like that. No, the chaos is there for a reason. The chaos is waking people up.
Yeah.
The chaos is pushing people past their point of tolerance and saying, I don't think this is right. I
Mhm.
don't feel this is the right thing that's happening. And we're living in very chaotic times where,
We are.
mentally people are going out of their mind. And that is exactly what's meant to be happening, to
Yeah.
return to the heart.
Yeah.
And, when you use crystals to help you realize, oh my God, I'm so afraid because, the mind isn't in control and we start to feel fear. There are crystals that can help you and, make your way back to feeling connected and know that everything is safe and you're okay.
Yeah, and you're so right with that. Unfortunately, there's so much fear about and like you said, the uncertainty. There seems to be everywhere. There's some chaos going off on differing levels, isn't there? The people seem a lot more angry.
Absolutely. And that chaos is meant to be happening.
Mm,
There's so many people saying, this is not meant to be happening. Yes, it's meant to be happening. It's meant to be happening for you to say, this should not be happening.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and without it, people will not wake up, and it is, it's like the earth is pushing and pushing and pushing us. And working with crystals, you start to get a low tolerance, so I have explained to my students that, well, the students, that crystals will take you to a level where you won't tolerate what you used to tolerate, and you will find your way back to your heart. And when you will recognize this isn't right, you make it right for you. And when
Hmm.
you make it right for you, and I make it right for me, and you make it right for you, and so on and so on and so on,
Ripples out.
eventually
Yeah,
we'll all find that peace and harmony that we're all desperately looking for.
yeah, and that's so true. And I think so many people seem to be lost and looking outside themselves.
Yeah,
And it sounds really cliche, doesn't it, that the answers are within you for people, but they truly are. And people, there seems to be more of a separate. I'm finding, I don't know about you, there's either the people in the camp, or there's a bigger separation from themselves, or the other side is the people that are sort of like waking up and saying, oh, oh, I get it now.
yeah.
And they're coming back to themselves. There doesn't seem to be much middle ground anymore. Would you say that
Oh,
works?
they divide, don't they? The
Mm,
divide. And I had a conversation with my son-in-law, and he was saying, the next step, it blew me away because he said the next step in evolution, if you think about it, is, there are creatures living in the earth, there are creatures in the water. We came out of water when we were born, we came out of water into air.
mm,
He went, there's got to be consciousness in light. And that's where we're going. These light
yeah.
beings, should we say, whatever you want to label them, are here to help us.
Mhm,
And in the light, as we evolve into that lighter space and find that light going into our bodies, what you find is there's no space for fear and there's no space for, those lower vibrations. But it is a process. It is something that you sort of swing in and out of. And being as I've been speaking to light beings for quite a long time, and they've directed me on my path. I know that they're as real as me and you.
mhm.
And, we live in a seeing is believing world. And unfortunately, these people that, don't see it sometimes, like you say, need evidence. Whereas if you go in your heart and you're emotionally intelligent, you
Yeah.
can feel the love, you can feel the vibration shift.
What would you say then? What for? the listeners and the people watching, what would you recommend for people that whether they know about crystals or not, what would you recommend as crystals that would help people for this? People seem to be in a state of overwhelm with all this chaos. What could you recommend? I know it's personal for every individual, but what could you recommend for people to help to bring them back to their heart, to bring them back to themselves?
Well, firstly, with all crystals, I would encourage anybody to learn to recognize that there is a consciousness. The light within the crystal is a consciousness. So when connecting to the crystals, show respect as you would with a tree, as you would with a plant. Just don't, just recognize that there is a vibration, which is spirit, is the terminology that shaman use within these crystals. And when you do that, place your crystal on your heart, whichever crystal you've chosen on your heart, and remember that the journey that you're making is from head to heart. So to find inner peace, one of the crystals that I would recommend would be aventurine. But to find inner peace, you have to be gentle with your own mind. If your mind's like, oh, I need to go and wash up, or I have to do this, or the kids will be finished in a minute, and you can't find anybody, it's like, okay, we're just going to breathe now. We're just going to take some time to find this peace and really start to get a connection with that inner world. Take time, and just, even if you have to, give yourself a limit of, say, I've got 5 minutes. That's all I've got. 5 minutes is a long time when you're meditating,
It
and
is.
it can do a lot of good to your system, and it can really help to calm your mind down. So if you're looking for a peaceful mind, aventurine, in my opinion, is a green crystal. And I actually haven't, I brought 5, but I haven't got one to show you. But it's a green crystal, and it's super at helping you find peace. And peace always is a state of mind. It's how you are thinking, which is affecting the rest of your body. So uh, for me, aventurine would be peace, to help you find that peace. Overthinking, this is what I'm dealing with. Most of the people that come to me just overanalyze, overthink things, and oh well, if I don't do that, and goal orientated. Overthinking, I would say obsidian, beyond a shadow of a doubt. But we're so used to overthinking that when we stop overthinking, it's like we think the world's going to stop
Mm.
because we're not thinking anymore. And it's true, isn't it? It's like,
It
well,
is,
who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it if I don't do it? So it's like recognizing that, we're here, we've got you, you're safe, it's fine. You can have that time off without thinking. And sometimes obsidian, again, just massage your head or something. Just give yourself, even if you can only afford 2 minutes of your time to just do this, 2 minutes, 5 minutes is adequate to just get you in a little bit of a, I want more of this.
mm-hmm.
I want more of this. And you'll start to prioritize this, because it's like, oh my goodness, this feels amazing. And I really need to be able to deal with the chaos. I need to have this time to be able to find and let my system calm down and what have you. So aventurine, obsidian, amethyst is always a great one. Amethyst helps change your perception. It's your perception of reality that's creating the concept of chaos. So when you begin to realize that you have all the time in the world, you're choosing what to do with your time. When you begin to realize that there's not just you who can do it, when you begin to realize and see the bigger picture, and amethyst will help you to see the bigger picture, then, that'll help you to just calm down and recognize that, you have got time, and it will help change those negative thinking thoughts. And help you. So there's quite a lot that I could go through,
Of course.
but it depends on how much time you've got.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, because we could go on forever covering
Absolutely.
so many different topics. But one thing that you've said a few times now, and I think this is something that people don't understand, is that the choice is within us to, like you were saying, oh, the kids will be finished school, I've got to wash up or whatever, to just say, stop,
Yes.
breathe, relax. And we all go through phases of where, people say, oh, it's all right for you, been meditating over 20 years, sit there with your still mind. I was like, I don't sit there with a still mind. The thing now is that I can see that the monkey mind started and detach from it. but not always straight away. Sometimes I'm in there with whatever's going on, and then you suddenly realize that you go, oh, stop, stand back. And I had there's a lovely lady I'm working with at the minute, and she's been struggling with her mind. So I sent her to a physical therapist for a massage to get her in her body.
Yeah.
And, and she was all overthinking, well, what shall I visualize when I'm having the massage? And I said, just nothing, just let go. And just whatever happens is what's meant to happen. And so she rang me afterwards. I said, so how was it? And she's, it was really good. But the only problem is I couldn't think of anything. I was just feeling aware of my body. And I was like, bingo, that's it.
It's totally foreign to a lot of people, and like you said, Liz, I'm in human form, just the same as you are, and it's explaining to students that the world doesn't suddenly change when you're into crystals. What happens is your ability to deal with that world, the ability to recognize, like you just said, sweetheart, when you are recognizing, I've got that monkey mind going, right, I need to take 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is nothing when you consider the length of time. Do some deep breathing, just bring your awareness back to your inner world and recognize you have a choice, and that choice is really important, for you to make the choices that are going to serve your highest good, your body, your mind, and your well-being. Otherwise, there's so many people that are burning out at the age of 40.
Yeah.
I did myself. It was horrendous, because you're trying to do so much. I was trying to be a mom, I was running a business. Women don't have the role they used to have many years ago, where they were just a mum, and that was very demanding. I'm not saying just a mum, I'm saying,
Yeah.
that was the only job they had. Whereas now, like you say, if someone goes for a massage and has no mind for a short length of time, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
what's this? But yeah, it's being able to find compassion for people as well, because I know there's a lot of arrogance out there, a lot of anger. And just the other day, I was in the post office and there was a queue, and I was stood in the queue thinking, oh, this is nice just to stand still for a little while
Mm.
and enjoy it. And people were getting so aggravated just standing still,
Yeah.
waiting. And when they got to the front, they were rude with each other. And it's a shame, because we just rushing through life and missing so much, but we're making the choices. Like you said, it's important to know that you choose what you do in your day.
Yeah. So
And
much so. And the thing is, the more that you give yourself time, the more time it creates for you.
yeah,
And obviously you can't create time, but you've got a clearer head. So for me, then it gives you more usable time, more creative time, rather than being stuck in your head.
and the vibration that you're emitting, if you get into vibrational medicine, you start to realize that the vibration that the universe is a big echo and a magnet. You are a magnet. So if you're echoing out to the universe, I have no time, I have no time, the
Mm.
universe goes back, I have no time, I have no time. So,
It's true.
you're creating scenarios within your world where you have no time.
Mm.
Whereas if you just take that time to sit down and meditate or do whatever, then, it's a lot of students, so one popular question is, how do I improve my finances? How do I get more abundance? You do it by, recognizing that you have everything that you need, and then the universe just echoes it.
Mm.
So you appreciate absolutely everything that you have, and the appreciation just comes to you. Money is about appreciation. It's showing appreciation for what someone does and showing appreciation for you. And when you get into that vibration, you're never short of money. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Understanding that everything in the world is a vibration. And when you recognize your vibration is creating your reality, you become master of your own destiny.
Yeah. So true. So true. Let's have a little shift then. So I preempted you with this one because I know you'd want to have some pieces there to show us. So I asked Jackie, what are your top 5 crystals?
Right. Well, that
Could you
was
get it down to 5?
like, okay, who am I bringing in here? Which one am I going to bring in? I think one of my absolute go-to crystals is black obsidian. This is volcanic lava, and when you move it around, this particular one, I don't know whether you can see or not, but it's got a sheen on it, so it's a really pretty crystal. I don't think you can see it too good there, but it has a lovely sheen, obsidian sheen. And what obsidian is really good for, in my opinion, is pain relief. So understanding the manifestation of pain comes into the body because it's an incorrect thought pattern where tension is being held and trauma or emotion is being held within the body. And what obsidian has the ability to do is to absorb that excess energy. So pain is excess energy. It's not nice excess energy. And people say to me, well, is it not going to hurt the crystal? No, the crystal doesn't have a neurological system the same as we do. It's hurting us because it's pressing on nerves within our neurological system. So, and also sometimes, these crystals crack when they take the vibration from the pain into it, they will crack. And, it shows how much energy they've absorbed from us. So excess energy, any kind of pain, be it mental pain, be it physical pain, be it emotional pain, then having a little massage with Obsidian is amazing. I actually had a lady who was in so much pain. She had cancer of the face, and she'd been to, again, face. I don't know why it is two people with a face, but anyway, she had cancer of the face, and she'd been to a clinic in Manchester because apparently at that time you had to go and get assessed as whether or not your pain threshold was okay to receive these really strong medication. Anyway, they wouldn't give her the medication that she wanted. So she came to me and said she hadn't slept in 2 years because of
Oh,
the pain that she
gosh.
was going through. She looked in a real mess. So I used Obsidian for about 6 weeks on her. It did take a while to get a lot of that energy out, but I got a beautiful letter off her daughter saying, "You've given me your my mum back."
Oh, oh, how lovely.
She had all this money. So I know, and all the case studies of the people that have gone through the academy and what have you, these all verify that these crystals work. So obsidian is pain and pain relief.
Hmm.
This one here is amethyst, and amethyst comes clear. If this is one with more of the matrix in it, you can get them where they're totally see-through, but this is a beautiful crystal because amethyst is a little bit like lavender in aromatherapy. It's great for bruises, it's great for if you burnt yourself, it's really good to detox you. The Greek mythology behind it is that it avoids anybody from getting intoxicated. So it's very good for alcohol issues. It's very good for anybody who's got addictions to things. And again, I don't know how much time we've got, but I had a lady
Keep
who
going.
had a husband was she was living with an alcoholic. So she put some amethyst underneath the bottle that it was that, and he started saying, that vodka that you're buying is rubbish. I don't know where you're getting it from. Can you get some other? Because it's not strong enough. So he downloaded onto wine. Get me some wine. I can't be doing that. And so she had the wine, and eventually he became dry because she kept putting the amethyst underneath the bottles, and he kept saying it's not doing what it used to do. It's not doing what it used to do. And eventually he totally became dry, and yeah,
That's
amazing
amazing.
story. It really is, isn't it?
Mm.
Chrysocolla, the inner voice. This crystal for me is the shaman crystal. Shamans used to always wear turquoise, and the reason they wore turquoise was so they could hear spirit. Where do they hear spirit? They hear spirit in their inner world, inside your inner tuition. So turquoise is a really, really good crystal to help. As a healer, you hear your own intuition. And, a lot of students will say to me, I'm not really sure, I'm doubting. Okay, well, work with some turquoise or chrysocolla and it will help eliminate the doubt and help turn your ability to hear your inner voice clearer. Chrysocolla is also an amazing crystal to work with any lung conditions, very good for breathing, helping calm everything down. It's such a valuable little stone that I absolutely love it. It grows very close to azurite and malachite. So that's chrysocolla. A lot of people in this is my opinion anyway, you may disagree with me, but a lot of people have wants in this day. The television and the media and everything always tell us that we have to have, and
Hmm.
the children are going to school and they haven't got, I heard a lady one Christmas saying that her child was deprived because it didn't have such and such a game. And I remember thinking, wow, okay, things have really shifted here. They used to be deprived if they had no shoes, but nowadays it's changed. So this crystal here, this is honey calcite, and honey calcite brings contentment. It helps you be content with what you have and stop striving, because it's this striving that basically trying to get on the on the treadmill and trying to have everything that the media are telling us that we should have in our lives is what's creating a lot of chaos for a lot of people. So when you stop overstriding and realize that, just be content sitting in an afternoon in the garden with the sunshine, or just be content for going for a walk instead of having to, push yourself to do something that is expected of you or that someone else is expecting of you. And again, that is your thoughts of what somebody else is expecting of you. So it's your thoughts.
Yeah.
So honey calcite is amazing for bringing contentment instead of wanting. I want a bigger house, I want a bigger car, I want this, I want that. Then that all goes and we find that inner contentment. And finally, this is my last one that I've chosen. This is carnelian. And carnelian inspires us, it motivates us, it gets us going, it helps us find the passion. Because when you're into spirituality, as I'm sure you know, Liz, sometimes you can look in somebody's eyes and they're just existing, they're not living. People are automated, they're just going to work, coming home, and they look forward to one holiday a year. So out of that, the rest of the time it's by, oh yeah, I've got to go to it. Oh no, I can't give my job up because how am I going to get? Well, carnelian helps motivate you into going, do you know what? I need more. I need more in life. I want to get up in the morning and I want to watch the sunrise. I want to go and walk in the sea with my feet bare. I want to go and, do you know, these are the natural things that bring us pure joy and help us feel alive. So carnelian really stimulates you and motivates you to say, I want more. I don't, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is I want, but this is a soulful.
Yes, I understand.
Rather than a materialistic want. So carnelian asks you to nurture your soul, and spend time with people and go and do things that really nurture your soul and feel really good about life and enjoy life. Do you know, it's really weird because I was only saying the other day, I just run a retreat in Glastonbury last weekend, amazing time. And I actually feel younger now than I did when I was in my 20s. I'm not carrying any weight of the world. I'm more active. My body is amazing. I do jogging every day and things that a lot of people my age can't do, So I'm eternally grateful for, the energy, information, and being a channel for these amazing light consciousness beings, whatever you want to label it, that speak to us via the movement of the vibration in the crystals.
Well, we're lucky we've got you communicating that through. I just wanted to, Jackie's card deck I have here because I have it in the shop and we've just got some more coming in stock. I don't think you can see it very well, but it is messages from Mother Earth. And I don't know where it's gone now. Here we go. I shuffled them before we came on, and carnelian. Carnelian is one of my favorite stones, so I put it down for that. But you've just mentioned carnelian. But these, like I say, we've got them coming in. Jackie sells them on her website. I'll put the details. But they're really lovely cards. And what I love about them, when I've got time in the shop and it's quiet, then I'll say to people, and I can see that people are interested in the crystals. Would you like to have a play? Nobody ever says no. And so we get these cards out and I get them to shuffle the cards and remind them that the card is infused with the energy of the crystal anyway, isn't it? With the light of the crystal. But I just love the little quotes that you've got on them. So like this one's just come up, rhodonite, let go of the past, then the hurt won't last. It's just those little sayings, and they just stick in the mind. But they're a really lovely deck, I think. They're so simple, but just say it as it is, rather than all the flim flam that can go with a lot of. There's some great card decks out there, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of flim flam with some of them. And I just liked these because ultimately most people that, for me, and I know you'll get this, but when they come into my shop, then they'll say, I need a crystal for, and then they'll, whatever the issue is, going on for them. And I think these are just a nice way of helping people to find that ease with them, because they are so simple and easy to use.
Well, thank you. And do you know, it's extraordinary, Liz, because I wrote those and decided to have them published and everything. And the publisher said to me, because we were having a launch, and I said, you know, when will they be ready? And we'd made the launch, I think, around about the 11th of September or something like that. Oh, they'll be ready by the end of August anyway. They weren't ready. And get this, they weren't ready until the 5th of September, which was my mum's birthday.
Oh,
So it was a mother
yeah,
energy
yeah.
that was coming through, messages from Mother Earth, and you know, the mother energy arrived. They were birthed on the 5th of September, the same day as my mum, which is really got some
Special.
pop there.
Yeah, that's really special. But I'll tell the listeners my little secret. I didn't realize, because I've had these for years. I didn't realize that this was Jackie until a few days ago. I don't know why, I hadn't put two and two together, and you sent me your bio and I was like, I've got those cards. and, and then here they are. So we've had that connection. We've skirted around each other. We both lived in Spain. We both lived in Oaxaca. We've skirted around one another, but never actually met. So this was a really nice way to get together. So Jackie, thank you so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed it. And guys, honestly, what Jackie doesn't know about crystals isn't, well, she's just a font of all knowledge. And she also has her own podcast, which are very, very informative. So I will put the details in the show notes below. She's on Spotify. She's on all of the main podcast apps, as I am. We'd both be really grateful if you could just go on there, give us a little 5-star review if you enjoy what we're doing, because it all helps for us to be seen further and further out into people, because that's what we're both here for. We both do this for free because we want to share. We love it, don't we? We're passionate about it, but we want to share it with people, and the more people we can share it with, the more people we can help, the better it is as we see it. So Jackie, remind us your podcast name.
Okay, it's I knew you were going to ask me that. I'm sat here going, oh, plummy neck.
That's why I asked you. Because
it's Crystal Lightworkers Podcast to aid spirituality and well-being. So it's the Crystal Lightworkers Podcast to aid spirituality and well-being, and it does say my name on there, Jackie Winters, and the British Academy of Crystal Healing. So
I'll put all that in the details below. So if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the notes below. If you're listening via podcast, it'll be on the show notes on your app as well. So again, Jackie, thank you so much for joining me. You've been an absolute joy. I've wanted to have my pen to write notes down, so I'll enjoy listening back to this one, I have to say. And thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to like our podcasts, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll be back again soon with another special guest. Thank you. Bye.